Everybody, welcome back on Let Up with Annie. In this session, we're going to talk about the Scottish Chaucerians. In continuation with the history lessons that we've been doing, last time we completed Age of Chaucer, and I told you that we'll be doing the Scottish Chaucerians also in the history of literature in English. Now, let's first talk about the term Scottish Chaucerian. This term, it was given to a group of 15th and 16th century Scottish poets who wrote under the influence of Geoffrey Chaucer or of his follower John Lydgate, often using his 7-line rhyme royal stanza. Alright, so this term was given to these 15th and 16th century poets, Scottish poets. They were highly influenced by number one, Geoffrey Chaucer, or some of them were also influenced by John Lydgate. And they mostly used rhyme royal in their stanza, in their writings, rhyme royal stanza in their writings. Major writers of this group are John Henryson, William Dunbar, Gavin Douglas, Sir David Lindsay, and King James I of England. So these are the major writers of the group. Now remember these names: Henryson, Dunbar, Douglas, Lindsay, किंग जेम्स द फर्स्ट. इनमें से भी जो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं वो है हेनरीसन, डनबर, डगलस. जेम्स द फर्स्ट इज ऑल्सो नोन बिकॉज ऑफ rhyme royal stanza, and we'll talk about James the First also. So you need to remember this first, that who were the Scottish Chaucerians, what does the term signify, and who were the writers writing under Scottish Chaucerians. Next, I need you to remember this also. Now, we talked about England, everything in the first session of history. Where is Scotland? Here, just above England, Scotland. And remember this also. Further on in history, we'll need it. Ireland. So this is Ireland. Side में Ireland, ऊपर Scotland है. यहाँ Wales है. साथ में बिल्कुल. ठीक है, तो ये है Scottish. यहाँ से Scottish Chaucerians आए. Now, the Scottish Chaucerians give us the most memorable writing between 1400 and the Renaissance. After Chaucer died, there was no great writing actually that was produced between 1400 and the Renaissance. Scottish Chaucerians one of the best writers माने जाते हैं इस age के बीच में. Scottish Chaucerians were influenced by the writings and poetic style of Geoffrey Chaucer, as we just saw. Chaucer's innovative use of language, narrative techniques, and poetic forms inspired Scottish poets to imitate and adapt his work. What are the things that these Scottish Chaucerians imitated? इनको क्यों पसंद था Geoffrey Chaucer? जिस तरह का लैंग्वेज Geoffrey Chaucer ने यूज़ की है, नैरेटिव टेक्निक, लिखने की तरीका, पोइटिक फॉर्म, ये सारी चीज़ों ने इन स्कॉटिश चॉसेरियंस को इंस्पायर किया कि वो चौसर के वर्क को देख के इमिटेट करें उसको. किंग जेम्स द फर्स्ट ऑफ स्कॉटलैंड, ही reigned from 1394 to 1437. ही वॉज इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय इंग्लिश राइटिंग. हाउ? एक टाइम पे किंग जेम्स द फर्स्ट प्रिजनर थे इंग्लिश लैंड पे, इंग्लैंड में. At that point of time, he got some reading to. At that point of time, when he was in the prison, he read some of the books, and that is when he highly became influenced by the English writing. And then he wrote a book, King's Square, the King's Book, and it owes a lot to Chaucer. तो बहुत ज़्यादा ये भी Chaucer की writing से probably influenced थे at that point of time. So yes, that is how. That is why we also name King James the First among Scottish Chaucerians. King's Square जो है, it is a love poem. The verse form used in it is rhyme royal. Now, because he was a king, King James, इसीलिए जो इन्होंने फॉर्म यूज़ की है अपने वर्क में, उसको हम राइम रॉयल कहते हैं. That is why we call it rhyme royal. And it is not that King James the First invented it. No, it was already there. The 7-line stanza, Chaucer had already used it before. So it was already known and had indeed been used by Chaucer. It's just that the name comes from here. जब चौसर ने यूज़ किया तब उसको राइम रॉयल नहीं कहते थे. Now when King James the First used it, this form started being called as rhyme royal. English was by then the language of the Scots who lived south of the Highlands. South of the Highlands, ये ना आइलैंड्स, ये हाईलैंड, ये वाला जो एरिया साउथ, तो बेसिकली जो इंग्लैंड से टच करता है ये वाला एरिया, साउथ ऑफ द हाईलैंड्स. इस एरिया में ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज इंग्लैंड में इंग्लिश था तो बॉर्डर एरियाज पे इंग्लिश फैलेगा ही. तो स्कॉटलैंड के इस एरिया में भी इंग्लिश स्टार्टेड बिकमिंग अ नोन लैंग्वेज. In the north, the language that was dominant was Gaelic. स्कॉटलैंड के नॉर्थ में गेलिक लैंग्वेज जो था वो डोमिनेंट था. वन ऑफ द अर्लीस्ट स्कॉटिश टेक्स्ट्स इन इंग्लैंड. तो अब स्कॉटलैंड में भी पीपल स्टार्टेड यूजिंग इंग्लिश. सो वन ऑफ द अर्लीस्ट स्कॉटिश टेक्स्ट जो इंग्लैंड में हम देखते हैं, द ब्रूस. इट इज़ अ सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ द हीरो रॉबर्ट द ब्रूस. I'll just correct one thing here. One of the earliest Scottish texts in English. England हो गया है English, ठीक है. तो वही मैं कह रही थी. Because English language started becoming known in those regions. Therefore वहाँ पे भी English में texts produce होने लगे. So the earliest Scottish texts in English is the Bruce. रॉबर्ट द ब्रूस हीरो को सेलिब्रेट किया है. द क्रॉनिकल इज यूजुअली एट्रीब्यूटेड टू जॉन बार्बर. एट्रीब्यूटेड है, ठीक है. अब इसका भी ऑथर इज नॉट फुली नोन, बट इट इज जनरली एट्रीब्यूटेड टू जॉन बार्बर एंड इट वॉज रिटन इन octosyllabic couplets. It was the first text to celebrate Scottish nationalism. Of course, this has not much to do with the Scottish Chaucerians, but when we are doing Scottish Chaucerians and getting to know a little bit about what was going on in Scotland at that point of time, it is necessary that हम इसको भी यहीं पे पढ़ लें. So about 100 years later, अब ये तो हो गया 1375-76 के आसपास. About 100 years after that, Henry Sun and Dunbar take medieval traditions to new heights. So they took it to new heights. Scottish literature इनकी वजह से और ज़्यादा ऊंचाई पे पहुंच गया. One of Henry Sun's notable works is, सबसे ज़्यादा फेमस, The Testament of Crusade. So it is basically what? It is a continuation and a tragic sequel to Chaucer's Troilus and Cresside. Chaucer wrote this work, Troilus and Cresside, है ना. तो हेनरी सन ने क्या किया है, चौसर की हीरोइन को लिया है, बट ही हैज ट्रीटेड चौसर्स हीरोइन इन मोस्ट अनरोमांटिक मैनर. एंड इन फैक्ट ही हैज ट्रीटेड हर वायलेंटली बिकॉज उसकी लाइफ में it's a promiscuous life and it leads to leprosy, beggary and finally death. So Troilus and Cresside में जो Cressida है, the treatment of Chaucer is extremely different from the treatment of Henry Sun of Cresside. So Cresside in Testament of Cresside is very different. And sometimes we also say that it is very misogynistic of Henry Sun to do that. So Henry Sun is best known for his poetry, particularly his collection of moral and allegorical fables. The second work that we generally talk about of Henry Sun is the moral fables of Aesop the Phrygian. Basically. ठीक है. So this work of course is inspired by Aesop's fables. I am very sure कि आप सब ने कोई ना कोई Aesop की फेबल पढ़ी होगी. आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा कि ये Aesop की है, पर आपने पढ़ी ज़रूर होगी. बचपन में वो मॉरल वाली कहानियाँ होती थी ना, उनमें से बहुत सारी हैं जो Aesop की हैं. तो ये भी उससे इंस्पायर्ड है. And it contains original fables which were composed by Henry Sun, the moral fables of Aesop the Phrygian. Next writer is William Dunbar. He was a prolific poet and is considered one of the finest Scottish poets of medieval period. His works cover a wide range of themes, including satire, love, morality, religious devotion, and social commentary. So he has talked about various themes in his works. इनका जो मेन वर्क है वो कौन सा है? Lament for the Macars. Macars are poets, Scots में. So Lament for the Macars. It is about makers, Macars or poets. Now, in the title only it says lament. ये पहले थे जिन्होंने एक्चुअली डेथ के बारे में इस तरह से बात किया है that he is afraid of it. He actually mourns the passing of various Scottish poets of his time, and not just Scottish. He has also talked about Chaucer, Gower, Henry's son, and that they all die eventually. कि सबको एक ना एक दिन मर जाना है. तो ये जो मोर्टैलिटी है उसको इन्होंने मोर्न किया है. हम सब मॉर्टल्स हैं, हम एक ना एक दिन मर जाएंगे. तो उस चीज़ को इन्होंने बहुत मोर्न किया. यू नो समटाइम्स सम वियर्ड थिंग्स कम टू आवर माइंड लाइक दैट. इनके भी आया होगा, इन्होंने पोएम बना दिया. दिस एलिजी रिफ्लेक्ट्स डनबर्स contemplation of morality and the fleeting nature of human existence. So it's contemplating morality and how human existence is fleeting, it passes. It's sad to even think about all of this. So this is the first great work actually which concentrates on death as the ultimate leveler. नेक्स्ट इज गेविन डगलस. डगलस जो हैं वो सबसे ज़्यादा माने जाते हैं फॉर हिज ट्रांसलेशन ऑफ वर्जिल्स एनियड. आई वुड लव इफ़ यू टेकिंग नोट्स आउट ऑफ इट, प्लीज़ नोट दिस. दैट इज़ बेस्ट नोन फॉर हिज ट्रांसलेशन ऑफ वर्जिल्स एनियड इनटू स्कॉट्स लैंग्वेज. स्कॉट्स में इन्होंने ट्रांसलेट किया इसको. दिस ट्रांसलेशन वॉज टाइटल्ड एनियडस. It was a significant literary achievement and it helped popularize classical literature in Scotland. So, just like other places, not everybody would speak the language of the foreign country. People of Scotland also, the common people would speak their own tongue, read their own tongue. So, when Douglas translated this work into their own tongue, it of course became popularized, and this classical literature also got popularized in Scotland. Unlike his contemporaries, बाकी जो थे देखो, हेनरी सन है, डनबर है, they wrote in English, but unlike them, he only wrote in Scots. अब Scots क्या है, you will ask? Because we talked about the northern regions of Scotland, the famous language was Gaelic. Scots क्या है? It is basically an offshoot of Northumbrian dialect of Anglo-Saxon, and then we have other influences also in that language. We have elements of Norse का elements है. We have Gaelic, French, Dutch, इन सब के थोड़े थोड़े elements हैं, and that's how Scots is made. Douglas's other works in Scots include some allegorical poems which are The Palace of Honour and King Hart. So these are the famous works of Douglas, and these are the most important Scottish Chaucerians that we need to study. Alright? Okay then, I will end the session here. Remember these Scottish Chaucerians, very easy to remember, nothing difficult here. I will see you in the next session. Bye bye. Have a good day. And please share the video with people you know and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. Bye bye.